Hello and welcome to a very festive Kent Tonight live here on KMTV. I'm Ollie Leader and here are your top stories on Wednesday the 24th of December. A gift for farmers. Kent reacts to government climb down on inheritance tax.
I think it was a really badly thought out policy and the partial U-turn I think has reflected a little bit of listening.
Help for hundreds as Herne Bay Food Bank provides essentials in the lead up to the holidays.
So our aim today is to make sure people have food on the Christmas table and gifts underneath the Christmas tree.
And punctual presents. Has Kent been on top of their Christmas shopping this year or left it to the last minute?
This is my Christmas shopping today. I haven't really done anything, so yeah, it's lastminute.com.
First tonight, Kent farmers have told us they will not have to sell parts of their lands to cover inheritance tax, following the government's easing of farmland tax proposals. The planned threshold has increased from 1 million to 2.5 million. This comes after months of protests by farmers and concerns from some Labour backbenchers. Maisie Walker has been down in Sevenoaks to speak to one farmer previously worried for his future.
Government proposals to tax inherited farmland have been watered down, with the planned threshold increasing from 1 million to 2.5 million pounds. So this farm here in Kent isn't going anywhere, but for many others across the county there had been concerns they would have to sell parts, if not all of their land, in order to cover inheritance tax. Under this government's plans, agricultural assets, including crops, livestock and machinery, worth more than £1 million would be taxed at 20%. This was announced at Rachel Reeves' first budget last year, which sparked months of protests by farmers, with some even travelling to Westminster.
This has all been about the campaigning and the NFU work, alongside other trade bodies. The reality, these decisions would never have happened without that work that people like the NFU do in the corridors of power, in those discussions with MPs, with those discussions with ministers.
Many farmers across Kent are relieved by the announcement, which has eased much of their worry ahead of Christmas.
Yeah, it's a big relief for us. We're a sort of medium-sized farm, so the allowance shared between my wife and myself will pretty much cover what we need to be doing. We would have had a pretty massive bill under the 1 million, particularly as it wasn't transferable between husband and wife. So that has, it's made a big difference, the allowance changing.
The government says it supports farmers, describing them as the backbone of Britain's rural communities, and are determined to secure a profitable future for British farming. So after months of pressure, the revised plans are easing concerns for local farmers, making the new year a positive one. Maisie Walker for KMTV, Sevenoaks.
Well, I spoke to one councillor who is going to be impacted by these plans earlier today. And to discuss this more, I'm joined by Conservative Maidstone councillor Claudine Russell, who is a farmer herself and was actually in Westminster for the inheritance tax protests. This is good news for you, right?
Yeah, this is really good news. A welcome Christmas present.
Why is that? Because many people at home struggling at Christmas, the idea of inherited land assets being worth more than £1 million being taxed at 20% might not necessarily sound unreasonable, let alone above £2.5 million. Why is this such a big issue for Kent farmers?
I think the thing was, and I think I might have come on your programme before to say that it was actually hitting the family farms and the real workers of the industry, really difficult, really difficult. And I know it sounds a lot of money, and I think I said this on your programme, but that's a lot of asset, but actually the cash that generates is a very small amount. So to pay that tax that they were talking about would have literally crippled family farms and businesses as well. Don't forget the businesses in our rural areas. So it's a very welcome U-turn from the government.
Your party has opposed these inheritance tax measures, but Labour say it's about putting an emphasis on those with the broadest shoulders, and this threshold will take out those family farms as part of these tax measures. Do you think that this is Labour backing British farmers as the Environment Secretary has laid out?
I think this goes some way to provide a bit of hope, certainly a bit of respite for the hardest working in the sector. So, you know, I don't dismiss that easily. I think that is really good news, but I think there's a long way to go, particularly, you know, when we're talking about imported food, and that's a big issue if we are having such high standards in our farming and yet we're importing food from elsewhere. I think they really need to have a look at that if they really want to back us properly.
Land value here in Kent is above the national average. There are many parts of the country where this tax won't have a significant impact in the same way as someone at the Garden of England will see. Do you think that farmers like yourself here in Kent and the South East have been impacted disproportionately?
I think, you know, farming's very different in our area of the country, and there's good and bad to that, as with all things. But I'm really pleased that everyone from farmers, growers, NFU and the Labour backbenchers that backed us as well all got together over this. And I think that's where farming needs a bigger countrywide voice. And I just hope that going forwards, the government will actually turn to that voice as a whole and listen to it a bit more.
Where do we go from here? Is this enough to make farming sustainable again here in Kent? What else can the government do in the new year to make your lives easier?
I think this was obviously one section of the whole. I mean, when you've got things like all of the employers' section contributions going up, I mean, that really hits the workforce. So there's lots of different elements, I think. And you know what? I don't want to single farming out. I think we've got rural businesses and pubs that are in exactly the same issues, slightly different, but, you know, same sort of things. And I think really, if they want to work towards a working economy and building Britain from work, then they need to really look at some of these measures and try and tackle them.
Now, a Herne Bay food bank has been handing out presents to help those in need on the Kent coast. This is the 4th year that Myers Community Support Centre has run its Christmas food bank and free shop, with everything donated by the community. Our reporter Naila Mohammed went along to see how volunteers are supporting the community leading up to Christmas.
'Twas the night before Christmas Eve, and hundreds of people queued outside a food bank organised by Myers Community Support Centre. Now, in its 4th year, the Christmas Food Bank offers food, clothing, toys and books, all under a no-judgment policy. There's no need to prove financial hardship, just a request to leave enough behind for others. Maya Amangeldieva is the founder of the food bank.
So our aim today is to make sure people have food on the Christmas table and gifts underneath the Christmas tree. Because of cost of living crisis, people doesn't have money. So we kind of compensating that they can, with the money they have, they can pay their bills. That's all it's about kindness, about power of giving, about making kids happy. The amount of kids I see today, smiles on their faces, it's just changing lives and giving hope to them.
Santa is not the only one making deliveries. Last year alone, Maya and her volunteers delivered around 250,000 meals to people across the community. And sticking to their no-waste policy, surplus food is never thrown away.
We're one of the largest surplus food collectors in the area, so we collect slots every day of the week from the major supermarkets through a network, and then we give it out at 9 p.m. Anything that doesn't go that day will go to local farms or animal rescue charities. So literally everything that would have been surplus goes to feed something.
In the middle of this industrial site in Herne Bay, Myers Community Centre is open every single day, providing food, clothing, toys, support, anything that the community may need, all for free. Now, the community centre is run entirely by volunteers who travel not just across Herne Bay, but across Kent, providing these packages, the support to whoever may need it.
And even amid the cold December weather, a local ice cream van stopped by to spread a little festive cheer.
I think with the way times are, to take the edge off people and to help out any way you can, I think there's always need. There's always need for a helping hand.
At a time when many are struggling, Maya's Community Support Centre shows how compassion, dignity and community spirit can make all the difference this Christmas. Naila Mohammed for KMTV.
Now, more than 100 households have been hit by Christmas Eve power cuts, while fallen trees are causing issues for drivers across Kent. Outages have been reported in Northfleet, the Hoo Peninsula and Headcorn as engineers race to fix the issues for homes in the run-up to Christmas. UK Power Networks says it understands how disruptive this must all be and that their engineers are working hard to get the faulting section of their network repaired. Well, we have a short break coming up, but in a few minutes' time, we'll be talking to our health expert, Dr. Julian Spinks, about everything festive and how to keep safe over the holidays. And our reporter, Finn McDermott, has been catching up with those still catching up on their Christmas shopping. All that and more in a few minutes' time. Welcome back to Kent Tonight. And as we all know, Santa Claus this evening will be making the rounds. That means he'll be stopping at nearly 650 households in Kent alone. That's a lot of mince pies and cookies if everyone across the county leaves some out for him. So what are the tips and tricks the big man could use to pace himself this evening? And how can we apply this to when we tuck into our Christmas dinners and boxes of chocolates? Well, we've got our health expert, Dr. Julian Spinks, for all the holiday health headlines. Well, Julian's here now, or should I say, the elf headlines, as it were.
That's it. I'm an elf expert tonight.
Absolutely, and of course, we've got the mince pies out because we're getting ready for Santa Claus here at KMTV.
Sure, there's one less than when we started, but hey.
What can you do? What can you do? And obviously, there's millions of households across the UK, hundreds of thousands here in Kent. How many mince pies, calories, sugar intake is Santa going to go through this evening? It's quite a lot.
Well, good news for children. He's definitely on his way. I had a look at the NORAD Santa tracker. And he's over Uzbekistan at the moment, and I'm assuming he gets vodka there. It's an enormous amount if everybody puts out some sherry and a mince pie and so on. It's worked out that just for the UK, he will have over 500,000 times the recommended drinking limit for a week, which is 14 units. He's having far more. And when you're looking at the mince pies, it's 1.78 billion mince pies he's going to be eating, or tons of mince pie. And again, the calories are absolutely enormous. So I've got to admire his sort of metabolism and the way he processes all
I don't think I could eat that many mince pies. As much as I love them right here, I don't think I could eat that many. He is made of sturdier stuff, though. I'm going to be gorging myself on food tomorrow. Christmas dinner, boxes of chocolates. What can I do to pace myself during the Christmas period? Because I'm not quite Santa Claus as much as I wish I was.
I think the temptation is to go all out all the way through Christmas Day and then into Boxing Day and so on. And the word pace is absolutely right. Really, you want to enjoy your time, and if you eat too much, you just end up feeling stuffed and rather sort of groggy and so on, and sleep all the way through the King's Speech. If you actually look and say, I'm going to eat less in the morning so I can go through that big Christmas dinner, and then in the evening you're probably not going to want to eat very much. Boxing Day is a chance to recover. I know traditionally you have the sort of curried turkey and so on, but 2 days in a row is too much. The calorie count of a Christmas dinner is enormous, but once a year, that's fine. Having it multiple times a year is not good news.
Well, I'm not going to take you up on the offer of Boxing Day, unfortunately, I don't think, but it is that thing where lots of people will be drinking a lot to go with the food. They may be lining their stomachs, but what are your recommendations when it comes to alcohol? Obviously, keeping an eye on the roads and make sure everyone gets home safe for Christmas this year.
Well, the message has to be don't drink and drive. You need to have a designated driver or get yourself a cab or something like that to get home. As far as the alcohol is concerned, I think most people are going to have a glass of wine or champagne or something around there. Drinking a bottle of it's not going to be good news. What we look at with alcohol is not only the sort of regular use, how much you're drinking every week, but binges are not good. It overloads your poor liver, which is trying to detoxify, to get rid of the alcohol. And in the process of that, it produces basically the same chemicals we use to preserve organ specimens for medical school. So it's formaldehyde. That's not very good because it actually starts to preserve your own liver, and that's why you get cirrhosis.
Not very long to go. How can we get healthy after all the Christmas binge eating, as it were? What are your tips and tricks to get back healthy in the January New Year?
I think you've got two things. You've got food going in. And yes, I mean, the temptation is to use up all the stuff you haven't done at Christmas, but space it out a bit. Look for lighter foods and simpler foods. The other side is exercise, exertion and so on. And once you've got past those couple of days when you really don't feel like doing anything, actually getting out and doing some walking or other things. It's not the perfect weather at the moment to do that sort of thing. If you like indoor sports, then do those as well. Those two things will make a difference, and maybe think about having a dry January, so have a month off the alcohol to allow your poor liver to recover.
Julian Spinks, our elf expert there. Thank you so much for joining us. Sticking with Christmas now, online shopping and experiences over gifts becoming more common across Kent and the rest of the county. We thought we'd find out how the county have been this year for gifts. Have people bought their presents in good time, or has it been last-minute mayhem at the shops today? Finn McDermott went down to the Ashford Designer Outlet to find out if people have been making a list and checking it twice.
The holiday season is a little bit different every year, whether it's more people shopping online or favouring experiences over traditional gifts. But every Christmas time, there's always those who've left their shopping to the last minute, and Kent is no different. Data shows that across the UK, the majority of people wrapped up their Christmas shopping by the 21st of December, but there's still 15% of people who'll leave it down to the last few days before the 25th. Well, I'm here at the Ashford Designer Outlet to answer the question, have people been naughty or nice this year when it comes to their Christmas shopping? Have they gotten it all done well in advance, or have they left it to the last minute? Well, let's find out.
This is my Christmas shopping today. I haven't really done anything, so yeah, it's lastminute.com.
I've been really organised. I've got an Excel spreadsheet, so I've got it going back about 10 years, so very organised.
Naughty.
Yeah, I've done mine about a month ago, but I'm just getting last bits.
I started today and I've ended up buying this coat for myself instead, so I'm going to have to start doing a bit better.
I've always been naughty. Always naughty. I like waiting to the last minute, grabbing all the, hopefully the sale bargains.
Half and half. I've got like cousins and stuff now, and then like earlier I did like my mum, my sister and my dad and stuff like that, so part and part.
Do you have any tips for anyone who's attempting a last-minute Christmas shop like yourself?
Start early. I hate queues.
Oh, if you're going to re-gift, keep a list from the previous year so you don't mess up, yeah.
Leave it to the boss.
Ask a month in advance not to make it bait, so you just know what to get them rather than think about it.
Do it earlier rather than Christmas Eve.
Boxing Day sales start Christmas Eve, and they don't tell you that.
Now, 73% of us here in the UK have been doing our Christmas shopping online. So for Kent stores, has it been a silent night, or have they still seen people coming through their doors?
We still seem to have, as consumers and as a society, we still have quite a desire to really sort of try and stock up and buy opportunities, buy presents and gifts for people while we can for that time of year. So it's been, I think it's been consistent. The real shift has been the trend away from sort of face-to-face physical shopping to online. I think that will continue to grow over the years.
The numbers show that most people will shop equally online and in person, but a large number will stick mostly to the internet for their gifts. This Christmas, whether you've done a whole spreadsheet for your gifts or you're still searching around the stocking here in Kent, as long as you're getting in the generous spirit of the holiday, I don't think you'll be getting coal this year. Finn McDermott for KMTV in Ashford.
Well, joining me in the studio now is Finn McDermott. You're out today, catching up with those people catching up on their Christmas shopping. What was on everyone's Christmas list this year?
Well, it's been a range. A lot of the people I spoke to very much wanted clothes, a little bit of food here and there. And we've actually got some numbers from Statista. They've got their most desired gifts of Christmas 2025 in the UK. So I'm going to be giving you a bit of a quiz to determine if you can tap into what people actually want this Christmas. I don't know if you're like me, I'm always struggling. Do I know what people want? My family, my friends, am I going to get them a gift? Are they actually going to use it, or is it just going to sit in the back of their cupboard? So let's put it to the test, Ollie. First of all, do you think on average in the UK people would prefer to receive some kind of cologne or perfume, or would they prefer some kind of accessory like a watch?
I'm not sure. I feel like with a watch, you already have a mobile phone. You don't really need a watch in 2025 or 2026 in the same way. Cologne, I think everyone kind of wants cologne or perfume. I'm going to go with that one, I think.
Well, you would be right on that, Ollie. It might be calling time on a classic timepiece, as 32% of people say they would have preferred to have a watch, whereas 38% of people say they would prefer to have perfume. Now, this next one is a bit different. I think this one's a bit of a no-brainer. We'll see what you make of it. Do you think, on average, people would prefer furniture, or would they prefer a donation to charity?
I wish I was in a Christmas spirit a bit more, but I'm going to be a bit Scroogey here and say I think people, by and large, would probably prefer a bit of furniture, though a donation to charity is always a lovely thing to do.
Absolutely. You would be wrong on that one, Ollie. I was pleasantly surprised as well. I figured I sort of thought, well, unless you're already moving, maybe you wouldn't want furniture, but I still thought maybe people would want furniture just to have around. But 14% of people say they would like a gift as a donation to charity, whereas 7% wanted furniture. I haven't really moved that much, so I suppose I wouldn't really need it. Next up, do you think, on average, people would prefer some kind of travel, or would they prefer a computer, that kind of tech? What would you prefer?
I mean, personally, I love going everywhere. It's the reason why I'm a reporter. I love going out around the county. I would love to go to somewhere sunny, but I think people do love a bit of tech, don't they? A mobile phone, a laptop. I'm going to go with tech on this one.
You would be wrong again, I'm afraid. It's only the 1 out of 3 you've gotten so far. People, on average, would prefer to travel rather than have a brand new computer. I suppose you're right. Luckily, we have both the tech we can use as journalists and trips, whether it's Ramsgate, Dover, Herne Bay. We get to go all over, so that is nice.
Thanks, Ben. To be fair, there is loads of amazing places in Kent you can visit in the new year. But we do have a short break coming up. Afterwards, we'll be looking back at our top story this evening, a Christmas joy for farmers across Kent as the government scaled back inheritance tax plans. We'll also be looking at the drink drivers Kent Police have caught out in the lead up to the big day. And we'll also be speaking to the Bishop of Rochester about some of the amazing services happening across Medway and in Rochester Cathedral. We can also go to our website for even more news during the break, kmtv.co.uk. Follow us on socials as well. We're on TikTok, Instagram and Facebook. But I will see you in a few minutes' time. Hello and welcome to a very festive Kent Tonight live here on KMTV. I'm Ollie Leader and here are your top stories on Wednesday the 24th of December. A gift for farmers. Kent reacts to government climb down on inheritance tax.
I think it was a really badly thought out policy, and the partial U-turn I think has reflected a little bit of this.
Help for hundreds as Herne Bay Food Bank provides essentials in the lead up to the holidays.
So our aim today is to make sure people has food on the Christmas table and gifts underneath the Christmas tree.
And punctual presents. Has Kent been on top of their Christmas shopping this year or left it to the last minute?
This is my Christmas shopping today. I haven't really done anything, so yeah, it's lastminute.com.
Well, I look back at our top story this evening as Kent farmers have told us they will not have to sell parts of their land to cover inheritance tax following the government's easing of farmland tax proposals. The planned threshold has increased from 1 million to 2.5 million, and this comes after months of protest by farmers and concerns from some Labour backbenchers. Maisie Walker has been down to Sevenoaks for us to speak to one farmer previously worried for his future.
Government proposals to tax inherited farmland have been watered down, with the planned threshold increasing from 1 million to 2.5 million pounds. So this farm here in Kent isn't going anywhere, but for many others across the county there had been concerns they would have to sell parts, if not all of their land, in order to cover inheritance tax. Under this government's plans, agricultural assets, including crops, livestock and machinery, worth more than £1 million would be taxed at 20%. This was announced at Rachel Reeves' first budget last year, which sparked months of protests by farmers, with some even travelling to Westminster.
This has all been about the campaigning and the NFU work, alongside other trade bodies. The reality, these decisions would never have happened without that work that people like the NFU do in the corridors of power, in those discussions with MPs, with those discussions with ministers.
Many farmers across Kent are relieved by the announcement, which has eased much of their worry ahead of Christmas.
Yeah, it's a big relief for us. We're a sort of medium-sized farm, so the allowance shared between my wife and myself will pretty much cover what we need to be doing. We would have had a pretty massive bill under the 1 million, particularly as it wasn't transferable between husband and wife. So that has, it's made a big difference, the allowance changing.
The government says it supports farmers, describing them as the backbone of Britain's rural communities, and are determined to secure a profitable future for British farming. So after months of pressure, the revised plans are easing concerns for local farmers, making the new year a positive one. Maisie Walker for KMTV, Sevenoaks.
Now, while many of you will be enjoying a drink over the Christmas period, there are serious consequences for driving under the influence. More than 170 drink drive offences were committed in the first half of December across Kent alone. And this report by Kai Wei from early this month can be found on our website kmtv.co.uk and shows a spotlight on the enforcement efforts keeping motorists safe.
Kent Police have launched their annual Christmas enforcement campaign to crack down on drink and drug driving offences. But within the first half of their campaign, 172 offences have already been committed. 50 of these for drink driving, 46 for drug driving, 56 for being unfit to drive due to drinks or drugs, and 20 for failing to provide a specimen for testing. These statistics were all discovered during stop checks or tests taken during road traffic collisions across the county.
So I'm arresting you for being over the prescribed limit of alcohol whilst driving, so drink driving. So you do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence.
I also spoke with David Barter, a solicitor who specialises in motorist incidents, about the consequences of drink and drug driving.
I've been doing this work for over 4 decades, and every year, for as long as I can remember, police have run these awareness campaigns And you'd think by now that the message really would have got through to people. It's an unusual period of time because there are occasions when people will drink more than they might otherwise. So there's a significant criminal law consequence. There's a criminal conviction. It can lead to significant financial consequences, job loss. If there's an accident, insurers won't cover injury or damage to third parties. I think above anything else, people, they need to just think, be aware of how long it can take the body to metabolize alcohol and even longer to metabolize drugs.
In a statement, the head of roads policing, Chief Inspector Craig West, said, "Our officers tackle drink and drug driving every day, but this campaign is about raising awareness and hopefully preventing families from losing loved ones. If you're planning to visit family or attend events over the coming weeks, please do not drink or take drugs before driving. If you intend to drink, arrange alternative transport to get home safely." Kai Wei for KMTV.
Limit of alcohol whilst driving, to drink driving.
Now, a traditional tea room in the heart of Rochester is shutting its doors after 43 years of trading. Pagotti's Parlour has blamed increased running costs, which they are badly impacting independent businesses. Businesses have faced pressure from rising wages and national insurance following last year's budget. The cafe has also faced stiff competition in recent years, with up to 30 similar outlets within a third of a mile. Now, the RSPCA is calling on animal lovers across Kent to help pets in need this winter by knitting homemade blankets. The charity says the blankets can provide vital warmth, comfort and reassurance for animals, particularly as the cost of living crisis continues to leave many families struggling to care for their pets. Earlier, I spoke to Kirsty Gillard from RSPCA to find out more.
We're seeing a lot of increase of requests for our services, people that are struggling, especially this time of year, and blankets can provide a little bit of comfort and reassurance for those animals.
And how will the handmade blankets be used? I know my dog personally loves being curled up in her warm blankets, in her crate. Which animals are most likely to benefit from this?
So we're going to make them available for all animals. Every animal deserves comfort, but we're generally seeing it probably be cats and dogs, all shapes and sizes.
The cost of living crisis, I think, is a big thing for pet owners this year, from the price of pet food to getting those essentials such as those warm winter blankets. How is this affecting pet owners and their pets and animals right now?
Yeah, I think the cost of living crisis combined with a boom in pet ownership during the pandemic has created kind of a bit of a perfect storm for pet owners, and things are really difficult. We've personally seen a increase in abandonments nationally, which are up 23%. That's just in the first 10 months of 2025. So I think our teams are braced for a hard winter.
How do you think we're going to address this in the new year? Is this just a trend that's happening over the winter period, or are you expecting this to move forward in the new year at the same rate?
I think sadly it probably is going to continue to increase. It doesn't look like anytime soon things are going to get easier for anyone. So yeah, the RSPCA have committed an extra 1.5 million of funding towards crisis measures, and we've also launched a online cost of living hub that people can go and get some advice for on there. But yeah, we're committed to being there for every animal when they need us.
And how have pet owners in Kent been reacting to things like these small donations? Because they do make such a big difference, don't they, to an animal's welfare?
Yes, it definitely does make a massive difference. I mean, I think we all have heard about small acts of kindness, but yeah, especially for an animal this time of year, so many people, their animal is their absolute world, and they do anything for their animal, and including feed their animal before they feed themselves. So people are so appreciative of a small bit of help.
So what happens tomorrow if I pick up my knitting needles after my Christmas roast and I'm knitting a blanket? Are there any tips or tricks that make sure that these blankets can be safe or usable for pets supported by the RSPCA?
We're just asking if people can use pet-safe yarn, so acrylic or wool, and just make sure they aren't, the holes in the blanket aren't too big. I'm sure there's probably a specific name for that knitters have, but I'm not a knitter myself. So, but yeah, just make sure the holes aren't too big so little paws can't get through there.
And I have to ask, have you seen any of these blankets so far? Any of these knitted, warm winter wear? Are they as interesting or exciting or as useful as the appeal hopes they will be?
Yes, they come in. I've seen some come in so far, and they're all sorts of different colours. I love seeing all the different colours. I'm not sure the animals are too worried about what colour they are, so whatever wool you have would be brilliant, but I like seeing the colours of the wool.
They look so impressive, don't they? I would love to be wrapped in a blanket like that. They look so warm. And of course, that's not all we have in this programme this evening. After the break, we'll be speaking to the Bishop of Rochester about some of the fantastic services happening around Medway. And whilst we're at Rochester, we'll be asking members of the public what their favourite Christmas tunes are and if they can sing along with them as well. It's all good fun here on KMTV. Back in a few minutes' time. Welcome back to Kent Tonight. And Christmas is a time of celebration for many across Kent, but also a time for worship and to take stock of the year, with communities across the county coming together at church for carol services and midnight mass, with our very own Rochester Cathedral expecting many through its doors this evening. Well, to discuss this and more, I'm joined by the Bishop of Rochester, the Reverend Jonathan Gibbs. And I have to ask, Reverend, something very, very simple, but very important, I think, to people at home. Why do you think, all these years on, Christmas still means so much to people here in Kent and Medway?
Well, it's great to be with you, and a very happy Christmas to you and all your viewers. Christmas, of course, is deeply rooted in the life of our nation, but it's so much more than that. It's not just about history and tradition. It's about a message that's alive and offers hope to people in the world of confusion and fear, and light in a time of darkness and uncertainty in that world in which we live. So we are indeed seeing hundreds and indeed thousands of people across our county coming together to worship and to hear the Christmas story.
And for you, as someone who will see many people coming through the doors of the cathedral and other Anglican churches across the county today, what do you think these services really mean to you?
Well, for me, the Christmas is the beginning and the heart of the story of the Christian faith. It's about God coming into our world, born as a baby at Bethlehem, and bringing light and hope into our world, not only 2,000 years ago, but for people today. And that's the heart of the Christmas message, the heart of the Christian message. And I see people responding to that right across our county, right across our nation.
These sorts of services are so beautiful. What can people expect if they've never been to a Christmas service? If they were to come to Rochester Cathedral tonight or to their local church, what's the sort of thing that they can expect today and also tomorrow as well?
Well, the first thing they can expect is a really warm welcome. Whether you come to the cathedral or to one of the other churches across our county, then I know they'll be very warmly received and welcomed in. What will they find when they get there? They'll hear and be able to join in with traditional carols, some of which they'll know. Perhaps they've sung them at school, even if they've never been in church before. But the heart of what they'll be hearing is the message of God's Son born into our world at Bethlehem, and the message of the light of Christ shining into our world. So there'll be readings from the Bible. Those Bible readings will be explained probably in a short sermon. And it'll be a service which everyone is welcome, whether they're young or old, whatever background they come from. And it's a message of hope for our world.
One thing that really struck me about these services at Rochester Cathedral and even further down the road in Canterbury is how they're always advertised as being free and open to everyone. Why is it so important that all of these services are so accessible to people here in Kent?
Well, absolutely, because the message of the gospel, the message of the good news of God's love shown to us in Jesus is for everyone. And it was wonderful. I walked past Rochester Cathedral this afternoon about 2:30, out with the dog for a walk. People were streaming in. The place was nearly full already, people of all ages. And it is so important that the doors of our churches are open, because the message is of God's love for each and every one of us.
My last question I have to ask is, there's many people at home this Christmas who don't have family or friends that really find community in services such as this. Why do you think that these sorts of services have become so vital to people in the local area, even if they may not even be of the faith themselves?
Mm. Well, I think that's true, and that's why it's so important that even if you've not been to church before, you're so welcome to come. The message of God's love for each one of us is something that we experience through our relationship with other people, through being part of a community. So if people are on their own this Christmas, we'd love to welcome them into our churches so that they can be part of that community, part of the family of God, which is for everybody, young and old, whatever background we come from. So that the message of the gospel offers light and hope. And the welcome of the church expresses that love of God to the people of our community. So we'd love for people to join us, whether it's at the cathedral, one of our Church of England churches, many of the ancient churches across our county, or churches of other traditions too. Come along and be sure you'll find a warm welcome and the message of the love of Jesus for each one of us.
Reverend, have a very Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining us.
A very happy Christmas to you all.
And now to sport. For Gillingham FC this weekend, manager Gareth Ainsworth says he's looking ahead to a Boxing Day clash against former Gills boss Neil Harris. In late 2023, Harris left Priestfield and went north to Cambridge United, where he still manages despite a brief stint as the boss of Millwall. He's replaced by Stephen Clement, Mark Bonner, John Coleman before Ainsworth took the reins. Cambridge are in quite in form, sitting 8th in place in the league, a few points above the Gills. Now let's take a look at that Christmas weather for the weekend. It's clear skies tonight for Santa Claus, though he might want to be wrapped up warm as temperatures drop to 3 and 4 degrees. And as we look forward to a sunny, if brisk Christmas day, 2 degrees in Ashford, 3 in Dartford, no snow in sight into the afternoon. Temperatures rise to 4 up in Medway and Margate, still nice and sunny. And that Christmas luck is continuing to Boxing Day and the weekend. Temperatures rising to 8 degrees. Now today is the last day of the Canterbury Christmas market for 2025, with nearly 200 stallholders getting ready to take off their Christmas hats and put their feet up. Our reporter was down there for us.
From mulled wine and festive treats to woolly hats and seasonal beats, this year in Canterbury, the Christmas markets have got it all. With the markets extending over sections in Whitefriars, St George's and the new section within the cathedral precincts, the total sums up to 120 hats and 172 stallholders, making Canterbury one of the largest Christmas markets in the South East and in Kent.
It fundamentally changes what the cathedral looks like this time of year. So when we came out in November, in a normal year, November is the quietest season for visitor footfall, but now we have a Christmas market. At least 500 people a day just to come and see the market, engaging with the cathedral, coming to the grounds. People that wouldn't have otherwise been a part of the cathedral story suddenly take part, and that's really encouraging and really what the cathedral's about at the moment. The tourist economy in Canterbury is what keeps all these businesses going, the cathedral included. We rely on visitor footfall, and having that part of the cathedral and part of the city working together really drives that footfall. We've seen in the last 2 or 3 years the impact of a really successful and thriving market, and it does bring a sense of sort of collectivity and unity to the city, and it helps independent businesses really grow and have a platform that they wouldn't have otherwise had.
The Christmas spirit is at an all-time high in the city of Canterbury. We've got the lights, we've got the markets, the food, and the public are loving it. I spoke to some of them to find out more.
I like them, I think they're quite nice, to be honest.
I love the Christmas market. I always make sure to go around with my friends. I go with my boyfriend. We always have a little mooch.
Well, I've been up the high street, so I've had a look around that market.
I think a lot of the shops are obviously like it's all handmade or handcrafted. People obviously put a lot of money and effort into making things. So that's why I think they are good for presents, things like that, because it's like niche little things that you can buy. You can't just go to the shops and buy them.
I like having a look around, have a look, see what there's something that's good. If I like something, I'll get it.
But bringing the festive spirit to the town are the stallholders providing their unique gifts to buy.
I make all the wreaths myself, and we sell plants at the shop but not here. A lot of our products are fair trade as well, so we support families in India and Africa and places like that.
So handmade crafts and little trinket bits that are always good for Christmas time. So it's all hand crocheted here in Canterbury, and they are good for kids and also adults alike.
But as we enter the colder months, it's not just the Christmas cheer they need to worry about.
Did it last year and we got blown away twice. We were in the big gazebo and that got blown away in Storm Bert, and then were given a hut and then that got blown over as well. So we were very unlucky last year.
If it gets too busy, our card readers go down. They are hooked up to internet connections, so if it gets a bit too windy, everything just cuts out, and our stall gets damaged due to the wind sometimes, but it's always fun.
For those looking for the perfect gift, shopping small could be the answer. Lucy Keane for KMTV in Canterbury.
And finally, Christmas in Kent means different things to different people. Good food, good company, or for many, good or slightly bad music. That's right, Christmas songs are a staple this time of year, whether you're stuck in traffic at the Dartford crossing or out doing that last-minute shopping at the Ashford Outlet Centre. What are your favourite festive sing-alongs? We went to Rochester to find out.
We're here today to ask people about their favourite Christmas songs and hear a little bit of their musical talent. What is your favourite Christmas song?
That's a good one. Shakin' Stevens, Merry Christmas everyone. Very old, but it's still around nowadays. Old school, Frank Sinatra or something like that.
Favourite Christmas song? The Noel.
Probably All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Driving Home for Christmas by Chris Rea.
Yeah, All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Would you mind giving us a few bars of that song?
All I want for Christmas is you.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. No, I'm